Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and this is the Dawg Pound. Oh, golly, we got one spectacular show for you this afternoon. You are going to love this content. Well, our special guest, Bill Hall, for reasons inside the dealership, they got to do business first. He couldn't be here. And he was actually the reason that I thought this would be a great subject this week because he just brought Alan Hall, the country recording artist, and did a concert in his community, which Alan Jackson, yeah. So I thought that was, Griffin, Georgia. I mean, we're talking serious ass Mayberry. So anyway, yeah, and I think that made me reminisce about some of the big crowds that I've been involved with in dealerships in the past, where we put more than 10,000 people on numerous occasions on a dealership parking lot. Now, of course, when you're doing promotions, Lynn Hickey told me one time, actually Wade Hickey, Lynn's son, Wade Hickey told me one time that 2/3 of the word promotion is motion and 1/3 of it is pro. Mm-hmm. so promotion is professional motion. Yeah. So I am oh golly. Okay. Can we talk about some work? Oh,
We can.
Imran Klein wants to sell sportswear on the sidebar. No.
Oh, well,
Imran just got blocked.
Funny enough, we used to do promotions with Jason Richardson, who is in the NBA, originally from Saginaw, Michigan, back in the days when B and I were competing against each other. And so we would do lots of events, and we had a whole line of, you could get a Jason Richardson accessory package on your GMC Sierra or on your Cadillac. So Imran, I mean, if you're talking about sportswear related to the dealership promotion, sure, we can talk about it.
Well, let's talk about who's on the broadcast today. Starting out with a brilliant woman, Phoenix, Arizona, April Simmons. Hello, April.
Hey. I'm kind of excited. This is a different little spin that we're going after, and I think this is a really fun topic, and I'm excited for today.
It's going to be a real fun topic. We're going to go back to some of the promoters through history, all the way back to Cal Worthington. Where do you see what? Go see Cal. Okay, and I've always said one of the most brilliant women in the car business, brilliant persons in the car business. My friend Jennifer Briggs.
Hey, Jim, I'm happy to be back on the show this week. So
yeah, you've been sickly.
I have, earlier this year, my illnesses were not COVID related, but I finally, after 2.5 years, that Rona caught up with me last week. So.
You had a bout with COVID. Oh my gosh. I feel for you, but you look great right now. I mean, you look spectacular.
Well, thank you. I decided since I should look like a human instead of a COVID clean.
We call her the comeback kid.
Okay, and from Moscow, Russia, or else Spain, I'm not sure. My friend, the Mad Russian, Max Zanan.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, got Max Clem on the side. I got both Maxes on this broadcast. Where you at today, Max?
I'm still in Spain, and I'm glad to be here. I think we've been doing this for more than a year already.
Yeah. This is number 60.
Yeah, so 60.
We didn't even celebrate our 1-year anniversary. What a typical guy.
No. The Dawg Pound. What a spectacular show. We are getting thousands and thousands of viewers on the replays. It's amazing what's happening with the show. Okay, and the queen of BDC. And by the way, last week it was just Bobbie and me.
So much fun.
Did a good job.
Thank you.
Me and Bobbie Herron. I think we wrote a song about that. Busted flat in Baton Rouge.
And the ironic thing is I pulled it all. Sometimes I have to work like a third shift because I work on a lot of technology. And so I don't like to do it with the dealers open. And it happened to be that it had to be that night. So I was on like 36 hours awake, and I don't do crazy drugs. So I was a mess on that show. And I watched it back and was like, can you form a sentence? You are smart, I swear.
You did really great. So today I'm going to talk about promotion. And when I was with the Potamkin organization back in the 80s, we were all about promotion, events at the dealership. Advertising is flat. Advertising is not what we were doing. We were bringing people to the dealership, not necessarily to buy something on that occasion, but super branding. And but the Potamkins, and this was before we got socially correct, we were giving away a full-length mink coat. We would have the mink coats, and the women would come on and try on the mink coats before they bought their Cadillacs.
You can't do that anymore?
Well, I don't know if you do that in every market. You Russians would do it, but
100%.
Poor Max.
So we've always been involved. And let's go back to the original marketer, promotional guy. And I met him in the late 80s when I was in Sacramento. I was consulting Senator Ford in Sacramento, California. Right next door was Cal Worthington Chevrolet. And I had the opportunity to meet Cal Worthington. And is everybody familiar with Cal Worthington?
I am. My old friend Al Granger from Texas introduced me to Cal Worthington because he thought it would be a good idea to try it again, which we decided it was not a good idea. But now with TikTok, I might have approved that. The
thing with Cal Worthington is one of his competing dealers had a commercial where he would come on with his easy chair and his dog Spot, or his dog something or other. And Cal Worthington wanted to make fun of this guy because the guy always did a commercial. This is me and my dog sitting by the fireplace. Come on, buy a car from me. So Cal started having all these different animals. And in one of the, and I've got some old Cal Worthington commercials. I'm going to play them real quickly. But in one of the Cal Worthington commercials, the tiger got out of control and ate his hat off his head. So hang on a second. Let's take a look at Cal
Worthington and his dog Spot. If your axle is a sagging, go see Cal. Maybe need a station wagon, go see Cal. If your wife has started nagging and your tailpipe is a dragon, go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. Here's Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. If you're looking for a better set of wheels, I will stand upon my head to make a deal. I will stand upon my head till my ears are turning red. Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. If you need a car or truck, go see Cal. If you want to save a buck, go see Cal. If you want a brand new Dodge in your driveway or garage, go see Cal, go see Cal.
Some of those are breaking up a little bit because they're really small commercials, but yeah. That Cal Worthington became world famous, number one dealer in all of California with those spots. April Simmons, what promotions have you seen or done at your dealerships?
Well, a lot, and there is some transition, and there's some stuff that's been tried and true. So when I go back, 25-ish years ago, most of the events we were doing were fancy lunches, bring people in, look at the cars, pour some champagne, that sort of thing. And then that transitioned into some of the stuff you just saw. We did, we had one of my dealerships that had a lot of commercials around the dogs, and the dogs were like at the store, and that's, kind of how that was done. And then we really kind of nowadays do a lot of community stuff. It's, that whatever that saying is, right? Like people won't care about you till you show how much you care. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. And we do a lot of community, local, homegrown stuff, not the big stuff that's, you never see, but like the intimate personal stuff. So examples include, we have had pet adoptions at the dealership on a Saturday. We literally bring people in. We got the dogs.
Now, is that still bringing in a lot of people right now?
Yes. Again, Arizona, we never really shut down. So we did during that, during the major COVID part, right? We didn't do any pet adoptions, but before and after we have. And yeah, it brings out a lot of people because who doesn't like puppies and stuff? So That's a really great one. They can do donations. If they buy a car, we do fun stuff during that weekend. Like if you buy a car and you want to get an adoption, you want a pet, we'll pay the adoption fee. If you don't want to get a pet, but you want us to donate, we can do that. And so we do a lot of stuff, bring in, food for the animals, just doing different things like that, which just bring people in and show that community aspect. But then you advertise that, right? But you don't pay a bunch of money to advertise it. You put it on your social, you put it on your website, you really put it out there in a very authentic way, because it's the type of advertising that, guess what, your employees actually want to share. Which,
right.
When I say, hey, we're doing a, $30 oil change, your employees don't share that. But if you say, hey, we got puppies and kitties, come see them, everybody shares.
Oh, everybody's into puppies.
Right? That's an example. We also do a lot of, we get involved with PCH, which is the Phoenix Children's Hospital. So we do a lot of stuff with them. Lost Dutchman Days, which is done in Apache Junction, where we have 2 of our stores at. We get involved with that every year, the hole in one. We go do the golf tourney. They do a lot. They do a rodeo. They do a lot of fun things, but it's all that money goes directly to.
Well, how many? Let's talk about how many people show up for these things.
It depends on the event and where they're located. And so, for instance, we have Cultivate Goodness. All my stores participate with things that we do on a consistent basis every quarter. And that type of event is more trickling, right? So it's people drop stuff off, they drop water off, they drop blankets off, they go to the website, those sort of things. So that's not a massive flux of people. But then you have the other type of event where, we're doing Courage Under Cancer and we're doing a fashion show.
I'm looking for spectacular crowds. What are you doing that's drawing to big crowds? So
big crowds, we're probably, if we're coming to the dealership, typically no more than, 1,000 people-ish at a time, because, your store.
1,000 people at one location, that's a lot of people. Max, what have you done?
I mean, listen, I hope what April is saying, works, because I just don't see it. I don't see it in New York. I don't see
then
it.
You haven't participated, because we've done it in New York.
Wrong.
Matter of fact,
listen,
Billy Facillo was the master of it.
But you have to understand that what you're talking about is all pre-COVID. Saying, works, because
it's different now.
With COVID,
Who's got their speakers up too loud?
Dealers
got a reverb going on.
Dealers have no reason to do this because they have no cars. So this is becoming a lost art.
Okay,
like
Max.
It's
wrong. And I always agree with you, and I'm just going to tell you, you are
wrong. You are so wrong. You are
keep in mind.
Wrong.
Keep in mind that everything that was once old school is now new school. So where we used to do crazy wild animals on the dealership lot to bring in 10,000 people, now you look at branding as what's the audience reach and the engagement that you're going to get through social, through community involvement. And you'd be shocked, because not only that, but keep in mind that for people who aren't in marketing, the more reach that you have with your algorithm, the less expensive all of your other marketing becomes when it comes to SEM and SEO. And the higher that you get a raise in that quicker, you'd be shocked by the value of a picture.
No, Bobbie, everything you're saying is right. And everything that April is saying is right.
Somebody write that down.
You're saying is right. All I'm saying is that you have to look at reality. When you have no cars, there's no reason to do this. I'm not saying
I almost cursed. That's BS, because dealers are some of the most active businesses in their community. It's not about one car deal.
If you don't do promotions, you will disappear.
That's a fantasy, guys.
Max, I will tell you
this is old, guys. This is old pre-COVID. Get real.
Okay.
When you have 2 cars in stock, what promotion? For what? You're going to bring 100 people, have 2 cars to sell?
So think about how
it's not a sales event. That's not what we're talking about. I think Max is confused. We are not talking about sales events or tent sales. We are talking about promotional marketing. I like to call it grassroots community marketing. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about getting involved.
Advertising as marketing. You're trying to sell a car at the end of the day. But if you have no cars to sell, what's the point?
Hold on. Boys and girls, get your
Max,
boxing
we're
gloves.
going to
Take your
have
breath.
cars again.
Think about this for a minute, okay? So in New York, Southtowne Auto Group every year holds a Jeep Fest. What's a Jeep Fest there? They do a ton with custom accessories in their market. And for years and years, like 10 years plus, they've held this like custom thing. Everybody brings in their Jeep. People show them off. There's contests. That customer isn't there to buy a car right now, but they're certainly there to buy an accessory if possible. But also, they're the one that's thought of when it comes to
their service customers.
And because it's held both on social and on their website, the SEO algorithm, which takes up to 6 months to be created and to truly be indexed, is going to be held while their competitors have pulled back spend. And the only cost involved in that is some hot dogs and some volunteer work.
Let's go back.
You're right.
Let's go
That's
back.
my point. You guys are all right. They should all be doing it. All I'm saying is that majority of dealers are not doing it because they feel
They're being
there's
short-sighted, is what you're saying, Max?
in current environment.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And
We got to get Max
Okay, moving
interpreter.
right along. Take a volume, Max.
No,
Okay.
there's another ROI though here that people have to remember when we're doing these events that isn't about selling the car, but it's about employee acquisition as well. And I think that that's one of the biggest ones that we need to think about is if somebody's deciding, am I going to go work at this dealership or that dealership, but you showed that you just did an event on something they care about, like already you're head and shoulders above. So there's more than just, bottom line, there's more than just selling a car reasons that we should be doing it. And we all should be talking about all of those reasons. Sorry,
April.
Tax write-off. If you're not a person who likes puppies and blood drives, it's a tax write-off.
I was privileged to do some training at Lynn Hickey Dodge in the 90s when they set the Guinness Book of World Records. 2,817 retailed units in a month. Guinness Book of World Records people were on the lot. Tom Park, legendary marketer, he was there. Lynn Hickey, Wade Hickey. I'm going to show you. They blew up a Ford truck and a Chevy truck. Evel Knievel and Lynn Hickey, 100 feet above the lot in a Mark III conversion van. Here it is.
Up here at the sale of the century, folks. Now, Evel Knievel, you brought this last night. I got to ask you, what do we have this for tonight?
I brought it back to my pal Lynn Hickey. I want to see what he's going to do with it tonight.
Hey, let me show you. Let me show you. Really, don't. Let me show you what we're going to do. No, really, we did this last night.
Yeah, get it. Get it.
I'm telling you, folks.
Thanks.
Have we blown the top off the market now?
I guarantee
Are we done with the rocket launcher?
We are gonna set sales records that's never been hit and can't be attained.
Folks, we're out to sell 3,000 cars and trucks. This man will do whatever it takes. He's putting more in trades than I've ever seen before. Praising cars from 200 feet in the air.
anything that glitters.
If you can see this commercial this evening, regardless of where you live, here in Oklahoma or our 5-state.
Okay, 10,000 people.
This guy just made a point for me.
10,000 people. 10,000 people saw that event, and I mean, and it was every night for a month.
Right, but Jim, two things. He had to have 3,000 cars in stock to sell 3,000 cars. That's
Okay.
point number one. Point number two, this was done to set a sales record, not to make anybody feel good, not to do any employee acquisition.
Had
Let's get
nothing to
real.
do with setting the sales record. It was all about the crowds.
Yeah, that
Right,
was
but
also
in the video. It
80s.
just says we're going to sell 3,000 cars. We're going to set a record. This is what the guy says in the video, guys.
But
He's an
that's
adrenaline.
an example that Jim's providing, but we're talking about what that looks like today. And I know I love to disagree with you, and it's not just out of spite, because when we talk about true promotion, whether it's shooting somebody out of a cannon or a partnership with the Red Cross or the Humane Society, it's about connections in a community. And Bobbie's talking about the digital marketing value when you have those types of partnerships. But ultimately, even if it's just that one of your service technicians is in the Lions Club and you offer to host the pancake feed in your service lane, you're having cross-organization promotion for things that are important for the community and your employees, and people see that. And this whole thing that everybody thinks we're cold, callous, just trying to make money, this is an important component to show the people on your team and in your town that you're about more than that.
I mean, I love how naive you are.
Oh, she's gonna murder you.
I'm so naive that
He
I'm
will
20
get on a
years
plane
in
and go to
with
Spain, and I won't be
I
able
love
to
it. I love it, guys. I absolutely do.
Okay.
How does bail work in Spain?
Mark,
Well, it's good because it's the devil's advocate, right? We're all bringing up different points for why this is important. And as usual, Max is playing the devil's advocate, which doesn't always mean that you disagree with it. But there are going to be dealers out there who think that think, I don't need to do this because I'm not selling anything right now. And the cross-community organization, the cross-internal organization, the marketing, all of those reasons are valid reasons why. Sometimes we just need to do things to be good people. And there are benefits that come from that, but that should certainly not be the reason.
Sales is going to come back. Cars will be produced again. Dealers will have inventory. So stop thinking in this short term. I want to go back.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. That this is becoming a lost cause.
I'll circle back and agree with you now, Max.
What was the theme song of Frozen?
With like Elsa? I don't know.
I don't have.
Wasn't it Let It Go?
I don't have little kids. I've grown out of that stage.
Let it go.
Oh,
Max,
that's
let
what
it
it is.
I wish I had that music. I played for Max. Max, let it go. We heard you.
No, we can't play it. We'd get kicked off YouTube.
Okay, but the point, Max Heights Chevrolet, Mark Heights Chevrolet. I had the privilege in the early 2000s to be a consultant for Mark Heights Chevrolet in Norman, Oklahoma. Mark built this ultra modern Chevrolet dealership. He had a 1 million gallon freshwater fish tank that was a whole wall. I don't know how many. I mean, all kinds of freshwater game fishing in this. And he built an amphitheater outside the dealership for the public to have events. He built an amphitheater, and he had conference rooms in the dealership where a lot of the local people were using them for their meetings, their Kiwanis, their clubs and whatnot. And we got that dealership selling 800 units a month in Norman, Oklahoma overnight. I know, Max, that we're selling units, but General Motors, and he had built it in a rustic, he built it to look like a Bass Pro Shop, actually. It sort of resembled the entire dealership. Bear in mind, we're selling 800 units.
He money for that period, didn't he?
The entire dealership has got the public involved. The people are having their community meetings. They're having things using the amphitheater outside. General Motors made him sell the dealership because he wouldn't do the General Motors facelift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't mess around with that. I think
that goes back to what's his name, Beatty, Alan Beatty. Told him he had to either sell the dealership or remodel. He sold the dealership. Tell me about promotions, Bobbie.
I mean, what do you want to know?
What have you seen? What have you participated in? What have you done?
I feel like I've seen some crazy stuff. I've seen Elvis on a stage at a delership, a fake Elvis on a stage. That was a good time. I'm not even gonna lie. That was a
Briggs GMC in Elizabethtown, South Carolina, North Carolina. I think it's South Carolina. Big Chevrolet. I went there. They were roasting pigs. They had Elvis performer on a flatbed truck. I mean, they had a guy in a wind tunnel catching money.
Like,
I mean,
nobody kicks it like they do in the country. Up here in Michigan and in the upper states, we have like reasonable promotions. When you go down south, they just do wild, crazy stuff. It's like if you go to Texas, it's like its own country, right? So I've seen Gator grill things, like I've seen somebody shoot a snake in a dealership parking lot on purpose because it was a contest as part of an event.
No, you have not.
Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye, Girl Scouts honor.
Really?
Absolutely. Yes, which is where I learned to pay attention to where you walk in the parking lot in Texas while you're wearing heels with open toes. Did not consider that prior to that moment.
No.
Same in Arizona, just for reference. You got to be careful.
It is serious. You know, one of the coolest things though that I've seen that worked really well and also was just a great idea is one of my clients in Alabama does a huge promotion in the dealership for every LSU game. Like they don't mess around down there when it comes to LSU. And when I first went in the dealership and everybody was watching a football game on a Saturday, I was not having it until I realized that that wasn't going to change. And there's a huge attraction for it that comes in for service on Saturdays.
Oh, absolutely.
Huge event that they sell. So, I mean, they bring in a ton of people. They have people that just come in and kind of chill. Nobody complains about, you know, waiting on service. I think it was Saturdays, but I don't really know when football is. I thought it was Sundays, but one of the days that they do every single time for football teams. I don't know. I don't even coach them for
Saturdays,
Now, Max, do
I
you
only watch
remember,
football for the pants.
Max, do you remember when I used to weigh 280 pounds?
Yeah, absolutely.
You remember I used to be a big guy before the cancer. Okay, I was in New Mexico. I was at a deal, and I'm not going to say which dealership because I don't honestly remember.
Please don't say it was Tijuana.
Okay, but I was in New Mexico, and a traveling bungee jump came through. This was like a crane. I mean, and the public was lining up to bungee jump. So they were daring me to bungee jump. This is 280-pound Ziegler. So they dared me to bungee jump. So I get up there and I'm at the top of the tower and it's like 60, 70 feet down and they tie my ankles up and he said, "How much do you weigh?" And I told him a number and my hands touched the ground. He said, "You lied about your weight, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah."
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Well, speaking of heavyweight, we've had wrestling events in our service lane.
There you go.
Bring the ring out, have the entertainment crew come in. You know, lots of different things from small little events, whether it's doing a field trip with a local school in your body shop or service department, all the way up to some of these big things. There's such a variety of different things you can do. I think what's important is you understand who your audience is and put something together that's fun. Sometimes we
Jennifer, you are about to get involved in a dealership not far from where I live.
Yes, that is
and
very true.
That dealership, Spalding Ford in Griffin, Georgia, is
now the ink is not. We can't say the name because the ink is.
I'm not going to say the name, no. But I'm going to say Spalding Ford is just south of Atlanta. And we had a professional, and I was consulting, this is when I was consulting the minority dealers. And the dealer agreed to do this. We had a professional wrestling match, and we had some of the older, not so famous anymore wrestlers like Tommy Wildfire Rich. And we had a whole bunch of famous wrestlers that were previously more famous. And we drew 10,000 people on the lot.
Wow.
We had police, and I mean, you know, it's a rural road. We had police out there directing traffic, people parking on both sides of the road. It was a newsworthy event. All the news stations covered it. It was absolutely phenomenal. And dealerships need to start thinking outside the box because cars are going to sell again. Inventory is going to come back. Somebody's going to start actually manufacturing chips and shit again. I'm serious.
I want to add this on real quick because as we talk about this stuff comes back, we cannot ignore that a close cousin to promotions is influencer marketing, which I think in today's market conditions is going to be even more important. I know we were planning, and this was prior to COVID hitting, but we were planning a promotion with an influencer. And I've shared, I've done a lot of influencer and endorsement deals in my history.
You're talking like a pro athlete or a
pro athlete. This one was actually with a Bravo celebrity, the one we were talking about. And the general manager of the store, this was a former NFL player who had their own show on Bravo. And the GM is a Land Rover dealer. He's like, "I don't want an athlete. That's not what I'm trying to do." And I said to him, your target audience is Carmel moms, right? You want the moms who are ready to upgrade to the Land Rover. If you have a former athlete doing an event speaking to their children who are now athletes at the college, guess what you just got? A captive room of Carmel moms. Not because he was a former athlete. Yes, that's the content and the base from it, but because he's on Bravo. And guess who watches Bravo?
Not
Carmel
me.
moms. Like simple things that you have to think about what is your audience, what is your goal. And to Max's point, like if you don't have any cars to sell, great. How many hours
Are you
do you
agreeing
have
with
in
Max?
Are you trying to recruit? Are you just trying to get that ripple effect of your community branding? Like this can be fun or it can be an epic waste of money. You've got to make sure that you do the proper planning if you want to make sure you get an ROI. And no, you're not going to measure the ROI in 30 days. It's not going to happen.
No, but it's going to be a huge ROI. Max doesn't even agree with Max.
Right, but I think now to get the real, because listen, let's get real, guys. At the end of the day, it's all about ROI.
I thought we've been real, Max.
Well, some of us
I guess it
are
depends on what the KPI is.
some of us are more naive than others, right?
No, we're just that much better, Max.
Right.
It's not naive.
Right. So if you really want to talk about ROI in this environment, I agree. You need to do these crazy promotions, but they need to be service focused. They cannot be sales focused.
They need to be social media focused.
What Bobbie said,
they don't have to be either.
No. But Bobbie made a great point. She gave an example of a dealership in New York State that does this Jeep event, right? It's all about accessories. It's all about do-it-yourself community. This is what needs to be done in this environment when there's a shortage of inventory. Once the inventory comes back, and eventually it will, right? You can go back and refocus on sales-driven promotions. But for now,
if you focus on either, you're going to fail.
No.
It's about
It's not about focusing on
Jeepers,
either. It's just you need to focus on something that's relevant in this day and age. Because if I bring 3,000 people to a dealership and you have 0 cars to sell, this was a colossal waste of time for 3,000 people. But if I bring 3,000 people to service and I service 3,000 people, this is mutually beneficial.
Yes. Hear me out for a second. Here's the reality. I agree with you. It shouldn't be about, hey, we're trying to sell cars or we're trying to service cars. That's really not the point. What do we know? Loyalty is at all-time lows. We're losing employees at all-time highs. My goal is to say
dealers got a bad image.
I want to take all my little ducklings and I want to retain all of my current customers. I want to retain all of my current employees, and I want to make them go out and become the repeat and referral business to bring in more employees and to bring in more customers, regardless of whether it's in sales or service, but because we are the place they want to come to. That's the goal of event marketing in today's world, in my opinion. It is a baseline branding play. That's your starting goal. Then you build upon that goal. Then you build layers of stuff off of that. But I think your baseline goal has to be that you're trying to show people this is the place to be, so that you think of me because I hit your heart, right? Like you lost, your puppy to parvo and nobody would help you. And now we're helping this person save this puppy. Now that you remember me because we hit you emotionally. There's 2 places people will remember you: emotionally or because you're funny. And if you're doing events to try to hit people in those areas, then you have a much better chance that when they're ready, whether we have a chip or they need an oil change, they will think of you, including employment.
I would just like to put out there to the dealers that, like Jennifer was talking about, like the influencer marketing, I'm funny and emotionally intelligent. So if you need an influencer face to do some crazy stuff at the dealership, I have a massive audience. I'll make you viral in like a day for the right trade-off.
Right.
No, but we did.
I think April makes a good point. I think April makes a good point, but I think we are confusing.
April makes a good point, but
I think we're confusing organizational culture that helps you attract and retain employees with the promotional events.
No, we're not. We're telling people how to do it so they don't fail. If you're focusing to try to sell a car or sell an RO, you are focusing on the wrong thing. This is a long game, grassroots community effort. It's not, and you're, yes, it's easier for people who have that type of culture, Max, to understand it. But we're not confusing the two. I think you are confusing.
It's branding.
And I'm still of the mindset that cars are going to sell again. I mean,
I don't think that's what
I don't think we need to lay down and die and act like cars are never going to sell again. Matter of fact, I was talking to Brett Sutherland last week. He's got 135 cars coming in this week in one of his stores. I mean, inventory is flowing. Like for Nissan, some of the manufacturers are still getting a lot of inventory. So
keep in mind though, guys, like the funny thing is we talk about 10,000 viewers like it's a lot of people because they came to the lot, but that was before the digital age had a boom that it did with social media, because you can go viral overnight as a dealership. I mean, think about just last year, John Oliver, the show, put out a message to dealers and said, your commercials are terrible. Let us write you a commercial and we'll pick you, but you got to do whatever we say. Put together a brilliant campaign, and you couldn't have asked for more advertising to put on a pickle suit and be silly, right? There's viral moments that happen in all of these things, and that audience is times 30.
We're in the TikTok world.
We're in a TikTok world. And here's the thing. We're not just in a TikTok world. We're in an Instagram. We're in a Facebook. We're in a native digital world. And the people that we're selling cars to are aging up into wanting to do things that way, but that's how they're noticing things. And it's about creating content. So yes, do it because it's the right thing to do. Do it because of a tax write-off. Do it because you want to sell cars. Do it because you want to sell service. Do it because you want to watch a football game. Don't care why you do it. Just do it.
Like I said, I did some training at Lynn Hickey Dodge in the 90s, and they were the world record dealer unit. That happened before they started hiring me, by the way. Mm-hmm. But anyway, one of the people that they were training was a wholesaler named Billy Fusillo. Now, Billy became the number one Hyundai dealer in the world. He took back what he learned at Lynn Hickey Dodge, and first thing he did was have Robbie Knievel jump over his dealership on a motorcycle, and he was doing that
would have been great content.
Fusillo 500, where they were selling 500 cars in a weekend. I mean, he would bring all his inventory to one place. Yeah.
Everything that's old is new. If you had Evel Knievel come in and jump over the dealership right now, it would create insane content for the digital native. It really would. And it could go viral just as quick, but it lifts everything else. And look, content's not an easy thing to create for most dealerships, but old school promotional branding is. So if you just marry the two together instead of having a one-night stand, it's a happy love affair. It works out really well.
So to go back to Max's point on ROI, I actually appreciate what Max is saying, because typically a promotional
nobody appreciates Max. What are you talking about?
I love Max. Bottom line, though, the
only ally here.
Hey, you're just lucky you're in Spain if you call me naive one more time.
I'm your ally. That doesn't mean I have to always agree with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't find me as charming, and we both know it.
Okay, so ROI, let's talk about that for a second. ROI, traditional, what Max is talking about, promotional event, how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars does it cost to put that out, right? And then you're measuring the success of that, of an instantaneous sale. And you're saying, okay, here's my ROI. That's a traditional, old school 30-day, 3-day weekend ROI. I get it. That's kind of like the mailer of today. But these events that we're talking about, spending in some cases zero money. In some cases, it's just keeping the air conditioning on in our building for another 2 hours. Sometimes it's a very small amount of spend. So when you look at the ripple effect of that ROI, your ROI per dollar spent is much greater in some of these types of events than this one shot to the arm and I'm done and over with. I'll give you a perfect example. We had a mom call us at my Robert Horn Ford location because her son, who is a Marine, had a previous employee of ours say that he could do the work on his truck off-site and fix his vehicle and ruin this man's vehicle. And it was an old truck, just one of those cool trucks that you're just like, man, you just destroyed this vehicle. He no longer worked for us, but was using our name. So this mom wanted to just let us know. Didn't expect anything else. My general manager and service director said, nope. They got this vehicle. They brought it to the store. They fixed it. We did welcome home banners, detailed this truck. And when he came home, his mom picked him up, drove him to the dealership. We did videos of welcome home. We are so happy that we got to help put your truck back, in working order. And that cost us very, very little money. You had my technician who did a bunch of the work in tears just because his whole family was military. And that went huge. You put that on social, you say, hey, can we do this? You've got now, the sheriff, you've got the mayor's attention, you get people's attention and they're talking about it. That ROI is unmeasurable.
What if you gave the Marines a Toys for Tots drop off?
This this was an event that you took, I don't want to say you took advantage of.
Fact, right?
Right. But this is different from saying, let's bring, Evel Knievel, to jump over the dealership.
Hey, what?
It's opening the eyes to saying what Bobbie and Jennifer are also saying, which is those ripples and the value of that ROI that lasts month after month and year after year, as long as when those moments happen, you capture them and share them. Like that's the part of content happening. Events are happening in your dealerships all day, every day. Where we miss it is promoting it. We're missing the promotional part of these events. And that typically does actually happen in a lot of cases after the fact.
Well, that's a great point. I think some of the Evel Knievel examples and some of the things Jim is sharing from the 80s, because we didn't have the connected communities that we do now online, you had to go a lot bigger to get news stations, to get the radio people.
But I still think you should. I still think you should.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think that by partnering with a local high school to paint a mural in your service waiting area, or having a contest that integrates different things in your community. April made a really good point.
What if you had a job fair
loyalty
for college graduates?
Right.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
We do that in Michigan quite often, actually. You know what I want to see happen? Hear me out on this one. And somewhere progressive, right? We all know that pictures with animals convert at a higher rate for any type of dating app. I want to see like a pet event combined with like a singles event for all the men who don't know how to take selfies. So there's no fish in the picture. Instead it's like a puppy and be like swiping right like crazy. Now that would be a community.
I love it.
Oh, come on, Bobbie.
Yeah, I'm telling you. You just don't even know.
I'll have all the guys who come in to buy a stinger when we do our next pet adoption, and we'll combine those. You buy the
I want to see the KPI on that. We all know everybody would swipe easier on a puppy. Nobody's got to pay that they got a dog.
I think Jim is right? You have to go big, right? And yes, maybe now there is no inventory, but it will come back. So the dealers should be thinking now about what to do in the very near future when inventory comes back, and how to do a badass promotion, how to bring thousands of people to the lot, right?
Oh, we're going to need to.
Right. That's what you need to think about now. You
have to get crazy creative. Nobody's going to come to the lot to watch it. They're going to watch it on social.
Yeah. They just need to
come. I could disagree with that.
Have something to watch.
It's going to be both.
Whether you watch it live or you watch it on social, you need to have something to watch.
I don't know that people are going to watch a wrestling match on social as opposed to if they could be there in person.
You would be shocked. I'm going to find you a viral video before the end of the day today.
I don't agree with that. I can make people come.
There is a subset of people. Well, you know what? It's brilliant marketing though, right? Because we say in marketing to deliver the right message at the right time in the right way to the right person. So if you have the ability to however you want to consume that content live in person, through social, on a website, on YouTube, restreamed later, the market opens up to an entirely different opportunity for a conversation.
I'm going to go back to go forward for a second, because one of the biggest promotional events that I know happens every year is the car show. What BDC person loves those events?
Who's even going to the car show still?
Right? We get names and numbers from this massive event that people put a bazillion dollars into, that ultimately yields most car dealerships how many car sales from all those names and numbers that they got a free t-shirt at.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. So I'm not going to a car show unless it's to get dressed up like a fairy princess, like prom for a charity gala event. But I will definitely ride shotgun with Evel Knievel in a hot second while sober.
Okay, now Bobbie wants to be a booth babe.
I already am. You know.
So
really, like, there's different things that we all enjoy giving our quality time to. Time is the most valuable resource we have that you can't get back. So if you're gonna put a promotion together that's worth coming to or worth watching. Otherwise, don't. I think too often we think about, because I see this in marketing and advertising all the time, and I see it with gypsy sales all the time, and I see it in promotions all the time. We think about, as a dealer or as a vendor or whatever, what we think would be cool. But the data that's available to us for what the people in our market actually want to see happen and what they would attend is mind-blowing. We don't have to guess.
Well, and ultimately, as we're talking about, and I don't agree that it has to be a huge thing. I think that it, just like any other type of marketing, it's the right message at the right time to the right people.
Like
but I
Alan
think
Jackson
as
to
you are
Southtowne.
starting to make plans. Hang on, I need to make this point. I've been trying. If you are trying to bring people to your lot, not just about going viral with content, please don't forget to put a ping or a geofence so that every single mobile device that attends that, you can then follow up with and track later, outside of those things where you're
Say that again.
a million names. But if you ping and put a pin in your own lot, then now you have access to even more data, like Bobbie was saying, and you can continue to make an impression on those people even after they leave the event.
Now, what if Lynn Hickey would have had that technology in the day when 10,000 people were standing physically on his lot for 30 straight days?
Imagine. Or what if Cal had the ability to know who would be offended by large exotic animals and had the ability to only show that messaging and the invite to people who wouldn't?
I don't think that many people were.
What if he didn't
offended.
care about
he was
that offended?
He didn't have to. His marketing director would have. Because if we were in 2022, somebody would have split A/B test that and told him. But right. Jen's right. Geoing is one of the simplest things that you can do to maximize what you're doing. Like, look, in San Antonio 2 years ago, we did Telenova, a famous person from Telenova. I won't pretend to know her name. I don't. But in that market, it was brilliant. And she did, not only did she do public facing things at the dealership, but she created video content that we then sent out to customers. And it was a massive, massive success. And she would come in on a Saturday with the radio company. It was a whole thing. It was very inexpensive, actually, come to think about it. But you can combine these kind of events with something that also targets the market, like the wild exotic animals, right? Maybe we're also doing a drive to save the animals. I don't know. I don't know how that could work together.
I mean, if I was a dealer, right, and I understood that all my money comes from internal combustion engine cars, right? Guess what I would do? I would set a Tesla on fire, right? And people to watch it, you know?
Burn a Tesla in effigy. Oh my
That's
God.
right. That's right.
You know, Max, you're laughing. When I was a DJ, before I was in the car business, I was Dr. X, the big time radio celebrity. I would go to car dealerships and smash a car with a sledgehammer. I would actually demolish a competitor's car with a sledgehammer.
I wanted to do a demolition derby when we did Cash for Clunkers, you know, because we had to go blow up all the vehicles. Yep. But something about insurance and stuff, I got shut down. But I was like, come on, guys, we have all the space, right? No cars on the lot. We have to blow up these great cars. How about we wreck them first, then we blow them up?
How about, remember Lynn Hickey was blowing up Fords and blowing up competitors' cars. And Lynn Hickey died. He blew up a Ford and a Chevrolet. Right. Matter of fact, the truth be known, the National Guard was kind of upset that he was using a real rocket launcher to blow them up.
Oh, man.
I want a rocket launcher
This
so
was right
bad.
after Desert Storm. So anyway, the fire department was there, and all they had 10,000 people were going to blow up a car with a rocket launcher. And they might have had a cocktail or two. So anyway, when they did that, they wouldn't allow him to use the full charge on the rocket launcher. So somebody, that Chevrolet truck they blew up had side saddle gas tanks, and they were full.
Workarounds.
To make a bigger explosion. Right.
Go big or go home.
Nobody knows who did that.
Department is actually a great partner for promotional events. They bring the sirens, they bring the trucks. Great partner for a promotional event.
Absolutely.
And they always gooseneck when they see an emergency vehicle. So you're going to get traffic you didn't even intend to get, partnering with your local fire department.
If the people listening want a simple event, like I'm going to go all the way small here, okay, but big impact. Don't forget about things in your community, like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. There are badges for learning how to change a tire for oil changes, and these are perfect things to host on the service drive on a Saturday. And guess who comes with all the kids? The mom, the dad. Right. Now we've built in some trust.
Now you're talking.
Girl Scout cookies.
I'm all about some compromise.
Girl Scout cookies.
Hey, I said the same thing about field trips, and you said I was naive.
Just likes to mess with you.
That's all.
I have to be in Vegas in like a week. I do not have time to come bail her out of jail in Spain.
I bet you Jennifer drinks Evian water.
No,
100%.
Evian spelled backwards is naive.
Well,
oh my God.
Max always likes to say, well, that's not realistic. But every tip I'm sharing is something I've already done successfully.
I'm going to give one of my
biggest secrets. Worked up.
I'm going to give one of my biggest secrets. Everybody ready? Big secret. First time we did this was Bruce Butcher Toyota in Savannah, Georgia, or Brunswick, Georgia. Bruce Butcher Toyota. We put a barbecue pit. We leveled up five cars off the front line and put a concrete slab. And then we put permanent concrete picnic benches and a permanent industrial barbecue pit. And we started booking that barbecue pit every weekend for the local organizations to have their fundraisers.
Yeah.
And and it was amazing. There was a waiting list for the barbecue pit, the Shriners, the cheerleaders, the Boy Scouts, everybody, the high school football, everybody wanted to not rent, but use the barbecue pit. And then we would buy barbecue from them for the dealership Saturday meals, and it was like, and could you imagine all the people out there with the signs come in the dealership, buy our barbecue. So we built a car wash on the other side of the dealership with running water where they could have a car wash, and it had a car wash and a barbecue going every week.
It's a great community partnership and
exactly.
And not everything has to be at the dealership either, guys. Think about
my idea.
That's a great idea. So football season, let me give you guys a pro tip if you're in a small rural town or if you're in Alabama, right? Sponsor the high school football games. But hold on, that sounds simple, right? Except do a little, hey, you're going to drive your truck past, you're going to throw this football in. And before you're like, Bobby, that's chintzy. It's not if you geo it and then you target and tag all of those parents who just saw all your stuff with a very inexpensive message about anything that you've going on in the dealership. Then you've got community involvement. It was hosted offsite. And even better, they didn't choose to come to you, so you didn't limit your audience. Instead, you captured the entire attendance.
Another big one with off-site events that I'm a big passionate person about, you need to have T-shirts and hats with your logos on them at all times, at any whim. So if somebody's going to if I'm going out to my son's football game, I'm wearing, I'm branding myself. If I've got, even if it's not something the dealership's sponsoring, if they're going out to do an event, have a T-shirt from the store. Go put this on. And amazingly, people see and pick up a lot on that because there is Probably nobody.
Better than that, refrigerator magnets.
I was going to say a Snapchat filter. We've done a lot of promotional events where we create special Snapchat filters, and then we make it a contest. So people who are sharing it, if your selfie
filters,
with
you're
our
brilliant.
logo,
You're brilliant. You're not naive.
Let me give you one more thing. If you're a vendor and you're listening to us, here's my pro tip for you. What's your giveaway? Freaking whiteboard markers. There's not a dealership in the world that has working whiteboard markers, so your brand will be chilling in every single meeting, including the ones held by other vendors.
Smart, super smart. Oh,
Thank you.
I love that one.
And
Those flat refrigerator magnets with your logo and all, and your phone number and your website.
Well, at McDonald Auto Group, that was my first group that I worked for. We actually used to have window clings, large window clings with our group website. And
it was so annoying.
One. And yeah, but they were all over
I used to take them off cars.
There's so much direct website traffic. But the customers would then be promoting the business for us everywhere they drive. They got a discount on an oil change when they came in, if they got the sticker, and if we took off a Garber plate bracket, we gave them a double discount.
Well, they all had plate brackets because Garber donates $5 to any charity of your choice if you come into the service drive and just let us flip your bracket. So Jen's over here stealing from charity just to meet my KPIs.
Well, and we should all note, Bobbie and I have not worked with those organizations for a long time.
A long
That's
time.
so true.
But anyway, yeah, I knew we would start gelling some great ideas before this broadcast was over. We started out a little slow on Max's negativity, but then we built
Max's viewpoint is important too.
Okay, but one thing you really need to think about if you're going to do a promotion, this is the only time I really recommend radio. And I was in radio for half of my early adult life. I mean, I sold radio advertising. I was promotions director at WAPE, one of the biggest stations in the country. I was the promotions director. I mean, I put big promotions together for that radio station. So always hire live DJs and hire all the formats. Hire urban. Urban's going to be ethnic. Hire urban, hire country, hire pop, hire rock,
and
hire all the
dealership. Broadcast from the dealership.
Broadcast live DJ on the spot from the dealership.
And then throw a TikTok viral dance party in the showroom and create some content.
And have a live MC DJ on site.
Yeah, and I want to make like a small point, a little off topic. Related to my industry.
Right at the end.
To F&I, right? You realize that none of the third-party administrators, I don't care who they are, right, promote F&I products in any way, form, or shape possible. I mean, what a shame, right? Because every dealership makes a tremendous amount of money selling F&I products, right? Probably more so than selling a car. Right? At least pre-COVID, right? And none of these huge, and I'm talking about gazillion-dollar companies, right? Backed by gazillion-dollar insurance companies, are promoting in any way, form, or shape any of their products. None of the customers know F&I products by name or the brand by name, right? It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. I hope somebody from the TPA world is listening and understands that, you have to promote the products that you want dealers to sell. You want customers to recognize the brand name.
Well, we have had a spectacular broadcast, and four brilliant people and Max, and it was.
I appreciate you, Max.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, one of the things that scared me when I was in the first grade was they told me that under bridges lived trolls and ogres. If you ever read the cartoon Broomhilda in the funny papers, there is a creature in Broomhilda called the Grebbler. Now the Grebbler lives. All you see is his eyes. He lives in a log, and the sign says "Free Insults." That's Max Zanan.
You're right, though, Max. The show wouldn't be nowhere as near as interesting without that.
Max is the Grebbler.
Right.
Anyway, this has been one great broadcast. I think we threw out a lot of ideas. Promotion is alive and well. Regardless, we're going to sell cars again. Chips are going to flow again. We're going to have inventory. Gasoline cars are going to be around for a long time. And you need to be thinking about a super promotion to physically bring people out to the dealership, or at least appear on social media. And this is the most brilliant panel of experts on how to get that done. Okay.
Yeah, bounce some ideas off of us, people.
Douglas just said it was a great show. Thanks, Douglas. Glad to have you here.
Got to blow up a Tesla, guys.
I couldn't see
blow
Jeff
up a Tesla. Let's get Lynn Hickey to blow up a Tesla. What, Lynn was the greatest showman in the world. He did other promotions as well. You should have seen some of the stuff he did. But we got to end this thing. Wave goodbye to the folks.